There's
Nope, I
nothing.
got it.
Okay. There's nothing in the Discover tab that I wanted to discuss or anything. So,
Nope. I mean, I got a little bit of chit chat about the books, but that's about it.
yeah, we can just dive straight in if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, generally about the books before we dive into them, but yeah.
Oh, actually, hang on just one second. Okay. All right. Let me count it down. Counting down in three, two, one.
What is up? I'm Pat,
And I'm Sean.
and this is the 6 Months Behind podcast for the week of 11/7/16, where we discuss all the great comics that came out this week on Marvel Unlimited that you can purchase for only $9.99 a month. How you doing?
I'm good, man. We had some excellent comic books this week, I thought.
We did. We really did. I was as we were prepping and doing sound checks and everything. I was sitting here looking at the list, looking at the cover, and trying to remember everything I read this week. And this is a good set of books this week. It's
Yeah, I
very good.
mean, yeah, it was a solid lineup.
Yeah,
I can actually think of a couple books I didn't care for, but of the 18 books that we have, maybe two of them were not good.
yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, they were all really good and entertaining. I was very pleased with all of them. And I get tired of saying it. The website is www.6monthsbehind.com. I don't get tired of saying that. The email is
You can hit us up at 6monthsbehind at gmail.com. That's the number 6 months behind at gmail.com. And
what I
just to
get.
let you go
Go
ahead.
ahead. What I get tired of saying is all the alternate covers are at 6monthsbehind.com. There's a page specifically, thank you very much, set aside for the alternate covers for the month of November. And there's like 7 covers for the Punisher book alone that we're going to talk about this week. And there's some cool covers there. There's some cool covers for some of these Gwenpool books, for the Spider Gwen book. There's some really neat stuff there, and I can't encourage you enough to go look at some of those covers. It's some really great artwork, and if you're not looking at it, you're missing it. That A Force book has, again, it's the A Force between A Force and Punisher. You've probably got 12 different covers there. No exaggeration.
Oh, dang.
Yeah,
That
really.
that Punisher cover is already pretty cool. I'd like to see some of the alternate covers.
There's one of Frank Castle just kind of sitting there with guns and ammunition around him,
Hmm.
looking. I can't even. Just kind of got that 1,000 yard stare. Not even looking at the cover, just kind of staring off in the distance. It's pretty cool.
That's rad. Um,
Yeah.
just to let you guys know, we do talk about the plot points of these books. So if you don't want to be spoiled, come back later. We'll still be here. Um, we try not to give too like big plot reveals away, but we do talk about what's going on in these books. So if you haven't read them all yet, hit the pause button now. When you finish them, hit the play button, and then we can discuss them.
There you go.
Yeah, and jumping straight in with A Force number 5.
Which is
This
from the Avengers section of our week.
yes,
Yes.
this is a solid series. I've really enjoyed this.
Yes.
You got your all lady Avengers team with She-Hulk, Medusa. You've got Captain Marvel. You've got Singularity, who's new, and Dazzler.
And the is it Nico? Is that her name?
Yeah, Nico. She's one of the old. I think she was one of the Runaways. I want to
Yeah,
say.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, she has strange mystical powers.
Yes.
Um, yeah, this particular issue. Well, real quick, give us a.
In this issue, Singularity finds a. She calls it a source of light, which she detects as an unknown source, stating to go investigate. Turns out it's a Thor from Doom World, finding a villain
Some
from
kind of
Doom World, some
yeah,
kind of
some kind of
dragon,
dragon. Yeah,
which is also from Doom World, and it's pretty. We won't even get into how these characters just keep appearing in Earth 616 from Doom World. I'm not even sure how that happens, and that's a rabbit hole that I don't even feel like chasing down because I'm chasing it in my spare time. And in my spare time, I'm trying to figure out how time and the universe are still open, or broken, I should say, and all these holes are still open, and we'll just come back to that on another day. But a
yeah.
Thor,
We might have to do a whole mini episode about that.
yes, but a Thor showed up from Doom World, and turns out it's a Dazzler Thor, and it looks just like Dazzler.
It is
So
Dazzler.
it is Dazzler. That's what I'm saying. It is Dazzler. It's a Dazzler Thor.
Yeah,
So they fight the
dragon
they fight
thingy.
the Thor. They fight the dragon thingy. Then they fight the Thor because in her world, the A Force are outlaws. If you didn't read the A Force miniseries, the A Force were outlaws on Doom World, and eventually they convince her that they're not on Doom World anymore. So the Thor and She-Hulk go get smashed.
Yeah, they all
I'm
go
not
to
sure if they
this
get drunk.
little. Yeah, they get pretty
They
drunk.
go to a bar and consume lots of alcohol. I
Yeah,
forget how much they ordered, but it was lots of pizza and alcohol.
yeah, they're
And
they're fighting initially, and then they're like, well, let's put this aside for the moment because we got bigger fish to fry. Let's go grab something to eat, and then they both get drunk, and all of a sudden they really like each other.
sure, then they're all friends.
Yeah,
Yeah. And this in this issue, and we won't tell you how the issue ends because toward the end, the villain resurfaces and does what villains do. So we won't spoil the end for you. But Dazzler and the Dazzler Thor wind up having a conversation, and there's some secrets revealed there.
hmm
And I spoiled this several weeks ago when we were talking about, I think, A Force number 2 or 3.
yeah, yeah. It was 2 or
If I,
3.
if I didn't, if you didn't hear that episode, I won't spoil it for you now. Okay.
Yeah,
But we find out the fate of Dazzler, and she discusses it with Thor and what's wrong with her, Dazzler Thor, and I enjoyed this issue because you have a good bonding of the characters, and they're beginning to mesh together as a unit, and I really enjoyed it.
right.
It was a good issue.
Yeah. Then they go out for ice cream.
Yes, they're literally standing at the door of a
Ice cream shop.
ice cream shop demanding that it be opened.
Yes.
Yes.
And the lady inside behind the counter is looking rather intimidated.
Yeah.
And if there were a She-Hulk demanding that I open the door for ice cream, I'd probably do it.
A drunk She-Hulk.
Yeah, a drunk She-Hulk at that.
Demanding ice cream. Yes, I would do it also.
Yeah. So solid series so far. I'm interested to see where it's going. And yeah, it's one of the better Avengers books that they're putting out.
I think so. I concur. Yes.
And the next up is New Avengers number 11. This was also pretty good. I feel like this New Avengers book has been a little discombobulated ever since it launched. I feel like they've kind of been doing a whole lot of nothing, but you get some really good character development in this issue.
Yeah, it's kind of a hit and miss thing. I was looking to see who's writing this. Al Ewing is writing
Ewing.
this,
Yeah,
and it's just kind of.
it
I
feels
don't
like
know,
it's
man.
biding its time.
Yeah, and you've got a character who doesn't become a double agent, becomes a triple agent in the book, and that's complicated.
Yeah, you've got the whole thing with Wiccan and Hulkling, which is also complicated.
Yeah, and then they're sitting there talking to the Scarlet Witch,
Yeah, that's
who may
how.
or may not be Wiccan's mom,
Yeah,
and that gets complicated. And they're
yeah,
discussing Hulkling and Wicking's wedding, which is awkward and complicated. And, there you go.
yeah. And then they both come home to their, I guess, their little Avengers apartment or whatever, and
Yes.
Doreen, who is Squirrel Girl, is sitting there like, "Hey, did you guys hear? The Plunder is out of prison." And they're like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." Then you get a little bit of something with Clint Barton. He's feeling real dejected about being betrayed by Shield
Again.
again. Yeah, a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
Uh, excuse me. Then the you go back to Hulkling and Wiccan and Squirrel Girl, and they're all sitting in a restaurant, and Squirrel Girl's all like, "Hey guys, the plunder. We should probably handle that." And then it turns out, yeah, they probably should because he's outside and he's messing stuff up, and so they go take care of him, and that's kind of the issue. You get a couple different stories.
Can I just throw a teaser out there for everyone?
Sure.
Let's evaluate the state of Hawkeye going into Civil War, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
His series has been canceled. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he's kind of depressed right now,
Yep.
and he's been separated from Shield, and he's kind of bummed, which
Yeah.
means either he's going to die or he's going to become a huge hero.
One or the other.
Yeah.
Yep. We've been reading these comic books long enough to know, hey, when they start canceling your books and you start being a real depressed character, they're probably either going to kill you or do something magnificent with you.
I've already read it. I guarantee you it's going to be one or the other.
Well, we did give you a spoiler warning. Anyway.
I didn't tell you which one because there's a lot of deaths there, and there's a lot of heroes made. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, the new Avengers book has actually been pretty good.
By the way, I told you 5 months from now there's going to be a rant because there's one of those heroes that died, and friggin' Civil War isn't even over yet, and they've already resurrected it, and that just torqued me off to no end. There's a serious rant coming at this point 5 weeks from now. 5 months, excuse me. 5 months.
Well,
I can tell you the issue that's coming where I'm going to have a complete and total meltdown.
well, we're all sitting on the edge of our seats waiting for you to just blow your top.
Yeah, dude, it's already, it happened a month ago, and it's 5 months away, and you hear the irritation in my voice.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah. All righty. Anyway, New Avengers has been pretty good. It's been kind of hit or miss, but I like all the characters in the book, so I'll stick around.
I mean, can you not keep him dead more than a month? Seriously? A month? Anyway,
Spider-Gwen number 8.
freaking ninjas.
Well, there's the name of the episode. Friggin' ninjas. Okay. So, Spider-Gwen number 8. This continues the Spider-Women story that's been going on that I've actually really enjoyed.
I have too. I'm surprised how much I enjoyed this series.
I'm really enjoying this team up of all the Spider-Women. It's really cool. So we get back to Earth 616 with Earth 616 Cindy Moon and Earth 65 Gwen Stacy, who is Spider-Gwen. And they break into the Baxter building in order to confront the Earth 65 Cindy Moon, who is on Earth 65 international terrorist.
Why was she in the Baxter? This whole book confused me. It was good, okay, and I'm enjoying the storyline, and I'm not banging on it. I was just confused. How did they know she was in the Baxter building?
They go in the very first couple pages. They go into the offices of Fax News Channel, which is where Cindy works. She works for J. Jonah Jameson. Um, she grabs a thumb drive that she has some information on, or that she thought she did, and it turns out somebody has already swiped it. Cindy Moon or Silk from the Earth 65, of course, and she's here on the main Marvel Earth 616, stealing technology from superheroes to take back to Earth 65 to continue her reign of terror there as an international terrorist organization. So she's in, yeah. So she's the Baxter Building is currently occupied by Parker Industries.
Right. I was having trouble with my app this week, and this is one of the books that I had trouble with, and I had to skip a few pages, and that's one of the pages I skipped.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I wound up skipping those pages when they were there with J. Jonah Jameson, and I understand now. That's why I was confused. Okay,
right.
Continue.
So, Spider-Gwen and Earth 616 Silk, Good Silk, confront Evil Silk, Evil Alternate Earth Silk in the Baxter Building when they realize that she kind of set them up for this. She's way ahead of them and has every tool in her toolbox to beat them. And then you find out that Earth 65 Silk actually had a hand to play in Gwen Stacy becoming Spider-Woman.
Yes.
Which
at least that's what she claims.
Yes. That confused me just a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised. They're doing a whole lot of fleshing out of this Earth 65 universe. So it would make sense for, we know her origin story, but what is the origin of her origin story? How did where did that spider come from? For Peter Parker, it was always Norman Osborn. But for Gwen Stacy, it seems to be research into a spider from Cindy Moon or Silk.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm flipping through my app here. Dude, come on. Anyway.
Then they wind up confronting Silk. They're in the Baxter Building, and one determined that they're seriously overmatched because she puts a beat down on both of them very, very quickly.
Yeah, with minimal effort.
Yes.
Which is where we pretty much leave off.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm really enjoying this team up series. I'm sure Jessica Drew's going to show up and bail them out. At least that's what I'm thinking, because things aren't going real well for them at the moment. And yeah, it's been a really good book. I would actually like to see the three of them have a book together where they team up. You can even throw in one or two of the others from the Web Warriors and have a all female Spider Woman team.
What do you think they're doing with this whole Spider-Verse?
How do I think they're doing?
Yeah, are you enjoying it?
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoyed this whole Spider Island thing when you had all of them running around, all the alternate Spider people running around.
Right.
And this feels like that, but in a way that matters. It's not just a bunch of random Spider-Men running around. It's, Spider characters that I'm invested in.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I think they're doing a good job with it. I've read the sales figures, and the sales figures are fairly strong. So apparently they're not oversaturating the market. Some of the books aren't doing well. Web Warriors is not doing great. It's we've discussed it. It's going to get canceled soon. I'm not sure when. And
Yeah, that's a bummer, but they can take those characters and do something with them.
the rest of these books, Silk, Spider Gwen, 2099, Spider Man, are all selling very well. They're all selling well. They've all got a very strong place in the market, and they're all doing very good. You know, they've all got good writers, and they're all doing well.
That's good because I like pretty much everything they're doing with it right now. So
Yeah.
and it's proof that you can have. It's this thing that Marvel's doing, and it's proving that you can have. You know, Peter Parker can be Spider-Man, but so can Miles Morales, and so can Gwen Stacy, and you know all these other. You can have multiple heroes running around with different identities. You can have, um, you know, Odin's son as Thor, but you can also have, what's her name?
Jane Foster.
Jane Foster. I always want to say Betsy Braddock, and that's not it. You can have Jane Foster as Thor too. You know Steve Rogers as Captain America, but you can have Sam Wilson as Captain America too.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying what they're doing in that direction. You know, Tony Stark is Iron Man, so is Riri Williams, who we actually get to see later this week.
Yes. Next week or this week? What's this week?
It's this week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And then we have Spider-Man 2099.
Number 10.
Number 10, yeah. Wow, we're already 10 issues into this?
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy. It was okay.
It was, Peter David is writing this, and
Yeah.
Peter David, we've discussed this before. There's light reading, and then there's complicated reading.
Mm-hmm.
Peter David isn't light reading. Okay, he writes plots within plots within plots, and that's what you've got going on here. He started with issue 1, and he started laying threads in issue 1, at least for what's happening in issue 10.
Yeah.
And in issue 1, you had the building blow up with Miguel O'Hara's
Yes.
girlfriend in it, and that led to everything that's happened so far, which in this issue, it begins when Miguel O'Hara is back in 2099, except he's not in the 2099 that he remembers. And he's trying to figure out what goes wrong. So we get a flashback to where he's back talking to Tempest, who's his girlfriend, Tempest's mom, and they have a conversation, and he basically says, hey, leave Tempest alone. And I'm trying to remember where it goes from there.
He goes back to not the Baxter building, but the Alchemex
I thought you were
building.
going to say the Batcave.
Yeah, he goes to the Batcave.
I thought that's what you were going to say.
Anyway, no, he goes back to the Alchemex building, bites the head off one of his assistants.
Oh, that's right. He's got a spider tracer on that body, and he sees that body.
Right. Yeah, and so he's working on that, and his assistant's the one that's like, dude, why are you here? You should be with Tempest.
Right.
And he's like, oh yeah, you're right. And then something happens. I forget exactly how he ends up back in 2099.
I'm looking.
But he ends up there, and it's not the 2099 he remembers. This was the most interesting part of the book for me. And
he follows them he follows the body to an Alchemex facility where they are testing time travel.
That's right, and they zap him with the time travel device that they're testing to see if it works.
Test it, yes.
Yeah, they're about to test it. He shows up, and they're like, "Well, perfect time. Boop, yeah. Here you go. Let's send you back in time and see what happens." And from what I can tell, it looks like the Sinister Six are in charge of 2099 now.
Yes, and it's not working out well for Miguel O'Hara because you have another Dr. Octopus with octopus arms.
Yeah.
And dude, it's just all bad for him.
Dude, Doc Ock keeps getting creepier and creepier.
Yeah, that's a pretty creepy Doc Ock there, man.
They keep finding ways to make him weirder and creepier,
and that's a creepy Venom, and dude, it's just all bad for him.
Yeah, well, in the whole, like, you see some of the structures, it's like, it looks like the world ended, and then you have this dystopian future technology world going on.
Yeah.
It's not that all the buildings are destroyed, but, you know, it's like they destroyed everything and then built a futuristic city in the middle of the wasteland.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, William Sliney is writing this, who I'm not familiar with, or excuse me, drawing this, I should say. And this is some great art inside this thing. Francisco Matina, is doing the cover art, and both the art for this one. They show you the cover for number 11 at the last page. Man, these are some great covers. Holy cow, this is just the interior art, the covers. This is great art. This is just great art. And speaking of great art, comes to Amazing Spider-Man number 12, where we have an Alex Ross cover, and we all know our opinion of Alex Ross covers.
Yes, they're always good. Because it's Alex Ross, and if Alex Ross ever did anything bad, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, can I just sidetrack you for a moment? In the late mid-'90s, when you had Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld and Todd McFarlane, Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross came up with the ideal for Marvels. You know, I don't know if you're familiar with Marvels. You know, it's a 4-issue painted series through the lens of a camera. And everyone, the editors, everyone at Marvel said, dude, it'll never sell. Look at the age we're in. This will never sell. Because his art was just so different from everything everyone was doing. And Busiek's story and Alex Ross's art was so great, it just shattered records because it was just so phenomenal. It was amazing. Anyway, Amazing Spider-Man number 12, and I'm assuming you were done with 2099.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Also, another good book. You know, you got Peter Parker doing some sort of, I guess it's some sort of charity event. They're at some fancy shindig.
It was a charity event for Uncle Ben Foundation.
That's right, yeah. So, you know, it's some black tie affair. And then all of a sudden, Tony Stark shows up with his ex. So that's great. Ghost shows up, the villain, who's one of my favorite villains. Then he and Iron Man get into a fight about, you know, who's going to beat up the villain. There's something going on with that other guy that...
You know, I'm sitting here reading the story notes, and it says the most dangerous foe from Secret Wars, Regent, makes his true intentions known. I don't even remember this guy from Secret Wars, man.
He probably showed up in one of those mini tie-in issues.
I can think about half a dozen guys from Secret Wars who are dangerous, and Regent doesn't seem to be on the list, man.
Yeah, but essentially what this guy's doing is he's taking control of all of the super prison that they insist on keeping in New York City, and he's basically siphoning the superpowers out of all of the supervillains and putting them into himself to create a super villain.
Yes. And, well, I won't tell you how it ends. I was going to tell you the last couple of panels, but I would read. So.
Yeah. But I particularly enjoyed the back and forth between Peter Parker, Tony Stark, and Mary Jane Watson.
Yeah.
That was really the heart of the issue, in my opinion.
If you enjoy old Spider-Man, Liz is in this. What is Liz's last? Liz Allen is in this.
Yeah, Liz Allen.
Harry Osborn is in this. Mary Jane Watson is in it. Tony Stark's in it. Peter Parker's in it. What's the other girl? Betty
Betty Brant.
Betty Brant is in it. Basically, all the old characters make an appearance in this issue. And Harry and Peter are even joking about it at the end of the issue. You know, that they're all together and they get attacked by a supervillain, and it's just like old times.
Yeah.
So this is really like classic Spider-Man with all of the old characters together, and they get attacked by a supervillain.
Yeah. I really kind of hope that Harry Osborn stays on the wagon for a little while.
They seem to be keeping him there.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's had such a terrible turn with luck. I'd just kind of like to see him be Harry, just normal, well-adjusted Harry Osborn for a little while.
Right. Right.
Because, you know, I mean, his relationship with Liz Allen is already kind of on the rocks because of, you know, hey, every time your life recovers and you get a little bit of your life back, you become the Hobgoblin again. So, you know, if you could stay away from our daughter, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm still not sure where they're going with the whole Tony Stark, Mary Jane Watson thing. You know, are they going to start dating? I kind of don't want them to do that. That'd just be weird, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyway, Amazing Spider-Man number 12, great book. They've just been knocking it out of the park with this particular title. All 12 issues have been really good.
Yeah.
Which leads us to Gwenpool number 0.
Well, before we get there, that concludes the Spider-Man section. For the second or third week in a row, we didn't have any X-Men books.
Yeah, we should get some next week, but
yeah, you and I were talking about this before the show. It's a few weeks ago we had like 3 or 4 in 1 week, and we haven't had any since.
It's like are they dumping all the X-Men books in 1 week or 2 weeks or something?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But I don't know. We haven't had them, and I guess they're coming. So there are no X-Men books. We're not skipping them. We're not talking about them. They're just not here. So
yeah, we just haven't had any in forever.
There you go.
Well, it's been like 2 weeks. It's not forever, but it feels like it's been forever.
It's been a few weeks.
So yeah, it's been at least 2 weeks.
Maybe 3. I mean, it's long enough that if you go back into the tab of the new books that have come out the last 2 or 3 weeks, they ain't there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Gwenpool number 0.
So I don't know what the strategy is here. I guess this was a special that they released to kind of introduce the character.
Yeah, I just, again, I got to go to Wikipedia and figure out who Regent is. I need to get my legal pad out and figure out who Gwenpool is, because she apparently made an appearance in a Howard the Duck book, and this is an appearance with Howard the Duck. And this thing is not short. This is not short. This is 48 pages. So,
yeah. Well, apparently it was the Howard the Duck volume before Secret Wars.
Yes.
So you had Howard the Duck, Secret Wars, and then what's going on in Howard the Duck now. This all takes place before that.
Yeah. And this is not an origin story, but I think this is as close as you're going to get at this point.
Probably so. I mean, yeah, I'm sure we'll get like a real origin someday, but probably not anytime soon.
And this is just her and Howard going on a mission to recover some things from Hydra that she stole from, was it Hydra?
Yeah, Gwenpool stole a horrible disease, a manufactured disease from Black Cat, and sold it to Hydra because she needed money to buy a costume.
Yes. And then stole it back from Hydra.
Yeah, Black Cat hires Howard the Duck to get the thing back, and Gwenpool goes with him.
Yeah. You know, and I'm trying to figure out. Here. Tell me which one of these makes Gwenpool popular.
Mm-hmm.
She's got Pool at the last part of her name. Then she's got Gwen at the first part of her name.
Yeah.
Or that they've got her running around half naked in a costume.
It's a little bit of all three.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. I also do like that you see her outside of her costume occasionally.
Oh, and that there is no third or fourth wall in her books.
Well, no, she's a Deadpool character, so no.
Yeah, but even Deadpool doesn't talk like this.
Well, from her perspective, she's from a universe where these are all comic books anyway, and none of this is real to her. So, right. Like, you know, she literally jumps off a building in a motorcycle, and she's like, oh, I wonder how I'm going to get out of this one, and lands in a garbage truck. She's like, oh, yeah, okay, cool.
No, actually, she lands in a garbage truck. No, she lands in a truck full of ducks.
Yeah, that's it.
Kills
Ducks, not a
ducks
garbage
in the
truck.
process, and then makes Howard mad.
Yeah.
Yes, which was pretty funny actually.
Yeah, she's running around trying to kill Howard. And they have a discussion about how she sold the horrible virus that Hydra created, uh, or that somebody created. She sold it to Hydra, and he's like, "Are you absolutely insane?" And she's like, "I mean, in this world, the Avengers fix everything, right?" And they have a little come to Jesus meeting about, listen, just because the Avengers fixed a lot of stuff doesn't mean you can just run amok.
Yeah.
So then she decides to help Howard get it back from Hydra. Also enjoyed the little sequence where she's watching the Avengers fight some creature, and she decides she needs a costume, so she walks into Big Ronnie's custom battle spandex, and she basically hands the lady behind the counter her sheet of like, here's my name and here's all the things I can do, and they just come up with a costume for her.
Yeah. And speaking of alternate covers, I'll tell you what, there's an alternate cover of either this Gwenpool number 0 or Gwenpool number 2, which comes out a week or two,
Mm-hmm.
that I put up on that page that I almost didn't put up because the dang thing was dang near X-rated. I almost didn't put it up there. I just almost didn't. Anyway, but I did.
Yeah, she's
I wanted a complete set, but doggone. Anyway.
Yeah. There, like you said, a third of her appeal is that she's not wearing any pants.
No. On to the Punisher number 1.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is completely different from whatever we just read with Gwenpool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize we were getting a new Punisher series, so this was a surprise for me. No, I had no idea. First of all, this cover is really cool. And you were telling me earlier there's a bunch of alternate covers that are really awesome.
Yes, there is.
So, how did you feel about this book? Because we talked a little bit about it earlier today on the phone.
I don't know.
I thought it was a really good first. I thought it was a really good first issue.
Did I read this?
I don't know.
Well, it says I did because it went to the last page.
So basically what's going on is you've got this gang that's attempting to...
Yes, I read this. Yes, this was...
There's this street gang...
Go ahead.
There's this street gang that is attempting to smuggle in and distribute some sort of drug that gives you superpowers, like a superhero. And the DEA is attempting to intercept this shipment of drugs that they know are coming in, and they've got this plan. They're going to hit it at like 5 a.m. one night or one morning, and they're going to intercept the drugs and take out all these drug dealers. Because what you don't want is every gang member and bank robber with superpowers. Right. So you want to keep this off the street. Well, before they can go in, and before the DEA can go in and take these guys out, the Punisher does it himself.
And what they don't realize is they're watching the gang, and the Punisher's watching them.
Right. So, and by the way, this book is not for kids. There's actually a parental advisory warning on the cover because the Punisher brutalizes some of these guys.
Absolutely.
I mean, at one point, the Punisher busts up in their base and starts shooting everybody. So a couple of the thugs, take a dose of the drug, and one of them starts attacking the Punisher and is making some progress and thinks he's going to kill the Punisher. And all of a sudden, the Punisher starts beating the crap out of him with a cinder block, tears his eyes out, and with a piece of rebar, literally nails him to the wall where the electrical conduit is, and he fries while being nailed to a wall.
Yeah.
And you see it all in graphic detail.
Yes.
Meanwhile, while he's doing this, one of the higher ups in this gang who's overseeing this whole shipment and is taking orders from the big boss, recognizes this is Frank Castle. Turns out they were both Marines. They both worked together at one point in time. In fact, I think he was his commanding officer. As Frank Castle's busting in the into the base, killing everybody, he shoots the two enforcers that are there with him to make sure he does what he's supposed to do. Confronts Frank and says, "Hey, man, not here to bust you up, but I'm going to leave now. I left you some information on the desk upstairs, but you're not taking me with you. I'll just see you later," and leaves. And the Punisher doesn't pursue him for whatever reason. Probably because
the guy made it pretty clear that he had his exit planned, and Punisher didn't need to follow him.
Right, yeah. Which I'm sure this is not the last time they see each other. Yeah, so all in all, I thought it was a really solid first issue. It felt very much like a Punisher story.
Yeah. It was very good. I was confused because at some point I started reading the Punisher Night series from about 20 years ago, and I got confused in my head. And plus, the notes that are Marvel put out for this issue really don't match the book.
What actually happens, yeah.
Yeah, that confused me even more. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
Steve Dillon drew this and has been drawing the Punisher for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Did he pass away?
Steve Dillon?
Yeah. No?
I don't know.
Yes? No? Maybe?
Let's find out.
Dum da dum da dum da dum dum dum.
Yeah, he died in October, apparently.
Okay. I thought so. I wasn't sure.
Oh, you know what? He was featured on the Discover tab a couple weeks ago, in fact, now that I think about it.
Well, I knew he was featured on the Discover tab, but I wasn't sure if he had passed away.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he was probably featured because he died. Steve Dillon also created Preacher.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, that's sad. That's a bummer.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know how he died. Oh, ruptured appendix.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently he thought it was food poisoning and I guess died of sepsis.
Wow.
Holy crap. Yeah, because he wasn't old.
Well, I didn't think so.
I mean, he was, let's see. You know, 50 something. He was born in 62, so. Well, dang.
There you go.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
I just thought they were highlighting his art because it's Steve Dillon.
No, I thought I read somewhere he had passed away, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I guess so. So I guess they'll be finding a new artist for this book.
Oh, there you go.
Assuming it isn't immediately canceled. Moving on to Deadpool Massacre #1.
Now that we've completely depressed everyone.
Yeah, now that we're all sad.
Yeah.
I actually didn't read this.
I didn't either. What this is, and I got pressed for time this week, and I told you I'm reading about 10 things. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading a history of Marvel Comics, a second history of Marvel. I've just finished By the way, look at the picture I just sent you. You have to click on the link. Um, I'm reading the Untold Story of Marvel Comics, which is a great book. I'm reading the year-by-year history of Marvel Comics. I'm reading comics that are linked to that. I am studying why the time and universe in the Marvel 616 universe are broken, and then I'm reading the comics every week that we have to read. And somewhere along the way, I just didn't get to Deadpool Mascara #1. This is the Deadpool book that came out in
Massacre? Dead
Massacre. Whatever. However, you know what? The dang thing came out in Spanish about 3 months ago in Unlimited, and we couldn't read the freaking thing. So Marvel finally got the bright idea that maybe they needed to interpret it for us, okay?
Yeah,
so
and it's an interpretation of that book.
This is the English version of the book. Well, I don't really care. You should have put it out in English the first time. So there you go.
Yep, there's that book. That picture you sent me, that's Steve Dilley. Yeah, he did all those like Punisher Max covers from a few years ago.
No, but this is an alternate cover for #1.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's one of those alternate covers I was telling you about.
Wait, so who's the artist here then? Because this is the same guy who did those covers a few years ago.
Hang on, I gotta get back to where I was.
Is it Addy Grenoff? It looks like Addy Grenoff's work.
Tell you what, you start talking about Moon Knight #2, and I'll get there.
Yeah, man. This is only issue #2, but I'm super into this book. You've essentially got Mark Spector in a insane asylum, battling with the idea of whether he's a crazy person or if he's really talking to the Khonshu, the god of the moon. And at one point, they take him down for electroshock therapy, and he has a communing with Khonshu, who is.
That's the Alex Maleev variant.
Okay, yeah, okay, all right. Okay. Now that I look at that, I should have known that was Alex Maleev.
There's an Alex Maleev variant. There's a Chris Stevens Age of Apocalypse variant. There's the cover. There's a John Cassidy Captain America variant. There's a Black Panther variant. There's a hip hop variant, which is actually pretty cool. There's a Tim Bradstreet variant, which is really cool. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Cool.
Go ahead.
And if you want to, we've probably mentioned it, but if you want to check out all these alternate covers, they're all on the website. So go check it out.
Yes. Unlimited books for November.
Yes. So Mark Spector, while being electrocuted, is having this communion with Khonshu. And they basically have this conversation about, what you're seeing is real. The psych ward is not, and you need to have faith in that. And they also lay out what's going on, what the larger plot is, that these like outer gods are able to. One of them was able to come here and work in a way that is different from the rest of them. Whereas the rest of them are just projecting their consciousness across the universe. Let's see. What was the name?
Wasn't Seth, was it?
Yeah, it was. It was Seth is actually able to occupy this plane of existence. Unlike the others who have to use avatars, like Mark Spector.
Yes.
So he's done being electrocuted. And he makes a plan with whatever this old hippie guy's name is, whose name I can't remember.
I'm not familiar with the old hippie guy. Everybody else I'm familiar with. I'm not familiar with the old hippie
guy. They basically plan a breakout. So him and some French guy are going to bust out. Mark Spector puts on his old Moon Knight mask along with a white.
No, stop. That is not that is not the old Moon Knight mask. That is the Mr. Knight tuxedo and mask, which is really cool, by the way.
What's the difference?
The old Moon Knight mask is like the Batman hood and cape and cowl thing.
Yeah,
That's the Mr. Knight tuxedo.
I didn't realize there was a difference. I mean, I
There's
know
a
there's a difference, but I mean, are they two different iterations of Moon Knight?
Not really. It's two different costumes, but that's a much cooler costume.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a really cool costume because he's wearing the full Moon Knight face mask and an all white tuxedo.
Yeah, it's much cooler than that Moon Knight costume.
Yeah,
I mean, when I saw that, that's just cool, man.
yeah. If that's going to be his costume for the rest of the series, I'm down with this. Anyway, I won't spoil the ending because they make that prison bust, but or that breakout attempt rather. But yeah, this is one. Jeff Lemire's writing it, so it's really good. Um, you got Greg Smallwood doing the art, and the art's fantastic in this book. It's got that kind of gritty feel to it that Moon Knight really needs. Yeah, gonna be reading a lot of this.
Here's the thing, and I may have discussed this with issue 1. Throughout the history of Moon Knight, we have, and I'm talking going back 30, 35 years, we have toyed with Mark Spector's split personalities and his sanity. And with this, what Jeff Lemire is doing is just diving off the deep end, and you're left to figure out, is he sane or is he imagining all of this?
Is he really the avatar of Khonshu, or is he actually just a crazy person?
Yes,
it's left open ended.
Yes, and I've gone as far as to read the teasers for like the next 8 or 9 issues. They're not going to resolve this anytime soon. They're going to resolve some of these plot lines, but whether or not Mark Spector is sane is not going to be resolved anytime soon.
Yeah, no, that to me that's the whole hook of the story.
Yeah, that's what makes this story great.
Yeah, and that's why I don't know what the sales figures of it are, but I'll keep reading it as long as they're publishing it.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I'm not going to keep reading? Rocket Raccoon and Groot.
Okay, I agree. This book totally sucked. The story was awful. Let me say this. Scotty Young wrote this thing. It's a piece of trash. Nobody ever needs to write it again.
No. Fantastic artist. He's a great artist. Not a good comic book writer.
The art is great. No, the art's not great. It's not my style. But he does some things, or who colored this thing?
I don't know.
Jean Francis Ballou colored this thing. And the use of colors in this thing is absolutely magnificent. On about page 7, there's this mix of blues and pinks and oranges, and it continues on. It's just, man, the coloring in this thing, it's like a bad acid trip, man. It's pretty wild.
His art is always that way.
The art's that way, but it's the color that really sets it off. The next issue, I may not even read the next issue. I'll just thumb through it, look at the art.
That's what I've done with the last 2 issues.
I mean, the particularly the color, just the coloring of this issue really, really set it off. The story was horrible, but the color really set the art on this thing off.
Yeah, the art was really good. It was the only redeeming quality of this book. We're 5 issues in, and I'm done. I'll thumb through it to look at the art, but I'm done with it.
Yes. Scarlet Witch number 6.
This book was fantastic. I really enjoyed this book. It made me sad, but it was a very good book. You got all the penciling was done by David Aja, who's very good, and you got Marguerite Sauvage doing the actual coloring and the rest of the art. This whole series has been Scarlet Witch solving magical crimes.
Yes.
And in this issue, she goes to Paris, and the problem is that their superhero, who is basically the angel, can't fly. His wings are.
Well, he's the French version of the Angel.
Right, yeah. It's not Warren
Warren Worthington III.
yeah. Yeah, it's not Warren Worthington, but he's, for all intents and purposes, he has the same set of powers. And
You know, I would try to pronounce that French name, but I can't pronounce English
that's
name.
why I wasn't going to go there.
Yeah.
The problem is that he can't fly anymore. His wife died recently, and he's so depressed that he's forgotten how to fly. So Scarlet Witch uses a very powerful spell to basically summon her spirit, and they have a conversation about, what his life is worth and why it matters that he continues to do what he does as a superhero. And I don't want to give the whole thing away, because you really just need to go read it. But it's a really nice story, set off with just magnificent art, and the whole book was really, I don't know. I thought it was touching.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Fantastic. The art though, dadgum. You were talking about the use of color in Rocket Raccoon and Groot. The use of color in this book is also really good. There's a lot of red and white colors. I really like her costume too. It's this black suit with red piping around it and a red cape.
Yeah.
Lots of uses of red and white in this particular issue. Yeah.
The cover's fantastic too.
Oh yeah, the cover is really cool. They have just been knocking it out of the park with this book. We're 6 issues in, and I don't think there's been a single bad issue. And they've all been different stories. Like there's not really an overarching story going on here. There is a little bit, right. But each issue has been something different, and it's just this mystery of the week sort of thing going on, and I'm really enjoying it. It's really good.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I would highly recommend anyone who's a little on the fence about it to read it.
Yep. Howard the Duck #7.
If you told me even just a year ago that I'd be reading Howard the Duck and liking it, I'd have called you a fool and a liar. Same thing with Squirrel Girl.
Somewhere Steve Gerber is... I don't know if he's happy about this in his grave or not. I don't know. He probably is. He is. He's probably happy with what somebody is doing with his character.
He's just happy someone's using his character and that's actually selling comic books.
I don't know, man. Steve Gerber was an angry man.
Well, maybe he's angry that someone's doing something with his character and it's selling comic books.
That's possible, yes.
Anyway, so give us the synopsis of the book.
I did not enjoy this book as much as you did, and I'm not going to give it a fair synopsis.
I didn't like this particular issue as much, but the series as a whole has been pretty good.
The series as a whole, I have enjoyed. This particular issue, I did not enjoy as much because they butchered Spider-Man, She-Hulk, Daredevil, and Steve Rogers.
Yeah, they kind of did.
And that's what I didn't enjoy about it.
And they poked a lot of fun at them. And granted, this Howard the Duck book is kind of, it's not serious and it doesn't hold a lot of weight in terms of continuity. So you can kind of do that. But yeah, I felt like they kind of skewered the character.
It's a pre-Secret Wars book.
Yeah, they caricaturized them.
Where they have to go to the Savage Land for a reason that I don't remember. And they're basically chasing a supervillain. And Daredevil wants to prosecute her, and She-Hulk is defending her. And Steve Rogers is there because he has a Quinjet. And Spider-Man's there for reasons I don't understand.
I did like
And
the line about, oh, we're going to have to ask Dad for the car. And then the next panel is Steve Rogers flying a Quinjet, and they're all in
yeah,
it. That was
and
funny.
and basically Howard the Duck is leading the team because he's the only one with a brain. And I just, you know, I just didn't. Yeah, it didn't do it for me. And that being said, I'm like you. I've really enjoyed this series, and even this, it was okay. They just butchered Spider-Man and these other characters so bad. They took him out of character so bad, even making Steve Rogers look incompetent to lead a team. That dude, it's just no.
Yeah, it was not the best issue. I actually enjoyed the story with Gwenpool more in terms of a Howard the Duck story than I did this.
Yes.
Um, yeah, who knows? Next issue will probably be something completely different, and it'll be good.
Yeah, and I mean, because it's not in continuity, in Marvel continuity, you can get away with it. It just, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It wasn't the best issue, and that's okay.
Yeah, maybe we take our characters too seriously.
Yeah, particularly when it's Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just read it for what it was and went, okay, there was some funny lines. It was all right, and moved on.
Yeah.
All New Inhumans #7. Did you read this?
I read this tonight at halftime of a basketball game on my phone. So if you call that reading it, yes, I read it.
You're that dork who's reading comic books on his phone at a basketball game.
You want me to read them? I read it, man.
Yeah.
I can say I got it read, all right? And it was halftime.
So this is following this group of Inhumans that we've been following in this book for a while. They're looking for this other society of hidden Inhumans that was around.
They're looking for this kid's mom.
Okay. Well, what they stumble onto is this society of Inhumans that broke off from Attilan some thousands of years ago.
Yes.
Living in an underground society. They find this kid's mom. Not everything seems to be what it appears, but I don't really know what's going on. This issue felt like a whole lot of setup for what's coming later. So I wasn't overly impressed with it, but it was just putting the set pieces where you need them to go.
Well, let's remember our lesson, shall we? We're in #7, which means issue 6 ended the last trade paperback.
Yes.
And this is beginning the next trade paperback. So we're laying the foundation for the next 6 issues. And you have Gorgon, Craven's daughter, Anna Karnanoff, and the young man looking for Flint, who's looking for his mother, wandering through these mountains. And they do come across this village, and this is basically setting everything up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, we'll see where it goes. This book is really having a hard time keeping its hold on me. Mostly because I'm just not invested in the characters.
I'm gonna tell you what. Almost all the Inhuman books are killing time until Civil War, and I was going to say AVX. Actually, they're calling it IVX, Inhumans versus X-Men. I mean, they're really killing time until Civil War. I mean, the Inhumans are the centerpiece of Civil War.
Yeah.
And they're killing time till they get there.
Okay. Knowing that, I guess I can forgive a little bit of meandering.
And I assumed everyone knew that. So does everyone know that?
Oh, we do now.
Do you know that?
I do now. Yes.
Okay. It's a new Inhuman that triggers everything that happens in Civil War.
Yeah, I knew about that.
which you will see in number 0 that comes out in a week or two. And I thought you knew that, and I thought everyone knew that.
Well, I knew about that, but I didn't realize that's the reason that all these Inhuman books are kind of, you know, wandering around aimlessly.
You know, I don't know why they don't do a better when you're leading up to something like Pleasant Hill or Civil War or Inhumans vs. X-Men or Death of X, or you're leading up to these things. Why they don't do a better job of pacing things out at times? It just doesn't seem like they. It's like, okay, that's going to be issue 12. I just wrapped up my story at issue 8. Oh wait, I got to fill issues 9, 10, and 11. It's just like, oh crap, what do we do with issues 9, 10, and 11?
Yeah.
It's just like they suddenly realize they've got 3 issues to fill, and they just throw something against the wall real quick.
Yeah, I've wondered about that too, and it may just be that they want to put the book out and introduce the characters and get people locked in before they start really doing stuff with it. I don't know.
And this isn't a bad story. I mean, they've introduced
not at all.
stuff here. It's just, anyway.
I am actually interested to see where it goes and learn more about this other Inhuman society, because their approach to Terrigenesis is much different. But yeah, this was just not I found this issue a little. I got bored with it.
Yes.
Anyway, moving on to Nova number 7. Did you get time to read this?
I absolutely did.
Okay.
I don't even think I read this one on my phone.
Because I skimmed it, but I didn't.
You're not a Nova guy, so you don't understand.
Yeah, kind of not really, no.
Yeah. Nova is searching for his dad, and that's what this whole series has been about.
Yeah, that I understand.
Right, and the clone came, and Nova's kind of chilling because he's on summer break, and he gets a rescue call from the clone, and the clone has found the spaceship where the clones are being made. So Nova goes to try and save that clone and hopefully find his dad there. Doesn't work out for him. The clone of his father dies. A whole spaceship full of his dad's clones die. And at that point, he goes home and begins a quest to find his father. And sits down and tells his mother, look, I'm going to space and not coming back till this is over. I'm going to find Dad, and that's that.
Yeah. Says the same thing to Tony Stark, who says, hey, let us help you, but who knows if he's actually going to do that or not.
Now it says kicks off a story that would lead into Avengers number 10, so apparently he is.
Oh, well, all right then. I didn't get that far.
That's what they don't say.
Oh, well, cool.
Yeah. I thought it was I thought it was good. I'm ready for this Nova Dad thing to be wrapped up.
Are you?
Yeah. 10, 12, 15, 20 issues. When you get 12 issues, you've drugged something out for a year. At 18 issues, you're at a year and a half. Okay, so that's
yeah. How much more mileage are you really thinking you can get out of this?
Right. When you haven't had any side stories. Okay, it's not like this is just a couple of pages and there's been other stories going on. This has been the center story of the book since issue 1. All right, this is it. This is all that there's been since issue 1. So you either need to resolve it or you need to make it a secondary story that you just kind of address every now and then as you're moving on. And they either need to do one or the other.
Yeah, I agree. But they're going to space now, and Nova always works best in space. So hopefully it'll improve.
Yes.
What needs no improving is Contest of Champions number 8.
Yeah, that was really good.
Dude, so much happens in the 25 pages that is this comic book. Where you start and where you end are so different that I can't even. There's so much that happens. You have what's going on with the Sentry and the Void. you have this fight going on with the Ultimates and the other prisoners.
I can't even describe what's going on with Sentry and the Void, man. That's pretty freaked out. Okay,
Yeah,
that is madness of its own level that you have to read to understand.
yeah, you really need to read this book, and you probably need to go back and read some of the old Mighty Avengers stuff from a few years ago to really understand the insanity that is um, the Sentry and his other half that is the Void. I mean, you're talking about a guy who literally ripped the God of War in half.
Yeah, and what happens is your Sentry dies, and he thinks he's dead. And I guess when he died, his spirit went inside
The Void.
Venom. The Void. No, it went
Mhm.
inside the Venom. And when he got there, he found the Void. So they're both there, and then the Venom and Maestro and who is the other one fighting for control?
Some Madam Hydra from another
Yeah, they were
universe.
all fighting for control of the Void.
Yeah, they're fighting for control of these Venom Void symbiote things that
Yeah.
are going on.
So the Sentry was like, "Hey, we need to get up there and take control of this situation." And the guy that embodies the Void's like, "No, we need to hide so we don't die again." And like takes over the Sentry, and they just dive into blackness. And you
Yeah,
realize all this is going on, I guess, in the Sentry's mind or subconscious. Dude, it's just that's out there, man. That was out there.
yeah, and then you've got Night Thrasher and all these other prisoners making their great escape.
Yeah.
Man, who'd have thought Night Thrasher was going to be the star of this book?
Whoever, I guess Al Ewing, who decided to resurrect him.
Yeah, because and at the very end, he gets transported to the 616 Earth, and I guess becomes part of new continuity. But I mean, he's a skateboard hero, and they've made him just the smartest guy in the room.
Well, here was the thing. I mean, when they created him to be a Tony Stark level intelligence,
Genius.
financial genius.
Yeah.
And as the New York Warriors went on, they kept dumbing him down. And as they resurrected him here, they said, all right, if we're going to resurrect him, let's do it right and restore him to what he was meant to be, which is up here, not dumbed down to where he was at the end.
Yeah. And so I guess I don't know what they're going to do with him from here on, but whatever he ends up in, I'm going to be reading it because that guy's cool.
Dude, no doubt, man.
Yeah. So through a series of events that will not spoil for you, the Ultimates end up back on Earth 616, or the Prime Marvel Universe, as they call it in this book, and none of them remember what happened, which I guess explains how all these characters like Tony Stark and folks could be there and then not remember that any of this is going on. We finally get an answer there.
Right.
Yeah, and this is just one of the coolest books that Marvel's putting out, and dang, man. At the end of every issue, it asks, "Are you not entertained?" And yes, I'm highly entertained. Please give me
I'm
more.
highly entertained, yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the best things that Marvel's publishing right now. If I had to assemble a top 5 list of books that Marvel's publishing right now, this would be on the list somewhere.
Yeah, we need to sit down one day and have a discussion about what the best books Marvel is putting out every month are.
That'd be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'd probably have to expand it to top 10 for us to really get anywhere with it. Anyway, one of them might actually be this Invincible Iron Man series that's going on. This is Invincible Iron Man number 9. And it's good, man. What did you think of it?
You know, I just had to come back through it so I could remember it. It was very good. It was good.
Tony Stark has gone off looking for War Machine.
He's been gone for weeks, and his company is spiraling out of control.
Yes, the company's literally being run by an AI.
Yes.
And one of their top investors or shareholders, rather, has figured that out and is not sure what to do from there. Um, you get to see what War Machine's doing now. He's been missing, and so has Tony Stark, but apparently they're still operating whatever they're doing in Japan. Uh, Rhodey walks into that club that he got captured in a couple weeks ago and says, hey, you, I need some answers, and if you give me the answers I want, I'll let you continue this little operation. And lady says, I don't know what you want, and so he says, shut it down, and they shut it down.
That's Yukio, by the way.
Who?
Of Wolverine fame.
I'm not familiar.
I'm not going to take time to explain it. Go ahead.
Okay. You also get a little snippet with what's her name? The scientist lady that Tony Stark was dating in the first couple issues. She's doing the trials for cancer on rats, and her experiments are failing. And all of a sudden, Doctor Doom shows up and says, "Look, you need to move on to human trials." And
no, they're succeeding, but she can't move on to human trials.
No, that rat dies.
Okay.
Anyway, he's also looking for Tony Stark and is trying to find out where he is. And at the end of the book, we do find out where he is. But the really interesting bit in this issue is this is our real first introduction to Riri Williams, who's like a 15, 16-year-old MIT student who has built a suit of Iron Man armor from scratch in her dorm room.
With parts that she's stolen from around MIT.
She didn't steal them. She borrowed them permanently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Iron Man doesn't steal.
No, she borrowed them on a long-term lease. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Really enjoying this issue. Really enjoying this whole thing. It's been good. I'm going to keep reading it.
Yes.
Especially as we move into new Iron Man titles after Civil War.
Yeah.
And the last Marvel book that we have is Captain America Sam Wilson #9.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Go ahead and tell me about it.
This is one, you got to bear with me. This is one of the ones I read the first week.
I did too.
Opens with a very frustrated Sam Wilson beating up a punching bag in a very deliberate manner because everyone wants Steve Rogers as the new Captain America and aren't happy that Sam Wilson's there. And he and Sam Wilson come up with the plan that we saw at the end of Pleasant Hill, which is to replace Maria Hill.
Yeah, without the fallout from what would happen if you just oust her.
Yeah. Well, we can't talk about spoilers, can we? Anyway.
No, but does it feel like to you that this is not what Steve Rogers would normally do?
It does.
Steve Rogers would be the guy championing, I don't care what the result is. The right thing to do is to expose Maria Hill for what she is.
Yes.
Instead of this weird political scheming.
Yes, you have him being underhanded, conniving, and scheming.
Yeah, and that's very un-Steve Rogers-like. Which, we'll probably find out why eventually. But yeah, it just struck me as really odd.
Yeah. So then we go back to Sam Wilson punching a bag, and then Misty Knight shows up and says, "Why don't you punch me?" And they begin sparring some, and then they have a discussion, and Captain America and they're going to have an introduction where he introduces Sam Wilson and talks about both of them being Captain America, and instead they're attacked by, I don't even know this
Some C-list villain, yeah.
yeah, CD list villain, and Sam
Sam
Wilson.
Wilson gets to look cool in front of the cameras.
Yeah, and everybody cheers because Sam Wilson looks cool in front of the cameras.
Yeah, which I like this little team. You got Captain America, Steve Rogers. You got Sam Wilson, Captain America. You got the new Falcon, and you got Demolition Man.
Yeah, but at the end, the villain looks at him and says, "You know, if you had done the right thing at Pleasant Hill, I wouldn't have done this.
Yeah,
But you didn't do the right thing at Pleasant Hill. Neither one of you did. You nor Steve Rogers did the right thing at Pleasant Hill." And the book ends with Captain America, or excuse me, Sam Wilson standing awake, looking out a window, thinking, "You know, Steve and I didn't do the right thing."
hmm
There you go.
yeah. Hey, what do you think of Captain Steve Rogers' new Captain America outfit?
It's all right.
Yeah, it's okay. It seems like they tried to blend the classic and the new costume together, and I don't know. I mean, it looks okay, but it's not my favorite iteration of his costume. Also, I really don't like the kite shield.
But dude, okay. While you're talking about Poe Dameron in a minute, I'm going to send you another cover.
Okay.
I missed a book on the list. We missed Black Widow #3.
Oh, I thought there was something we didn't talk about. I was like, this list seems short.
We missed one. It's Black Widow #3, which begins with her walking through the streets of New York City and people giving her a message, which is that she needs to return to the Red Room where she was raised. So
Yeah, in Russia.
in Russia. So she goes there, and there's not a lot of dialogue in this. There's not. It's simply a lot of action sequences.
Yeah,
And if this isn't rated for mature audiences, it probably should be. There's a lot of flashbacks to her as a child, and she eventually breaks into the house that holds the Red Room, and turns out there's someone else already there. And what's really freaky about this is she beats the people that's already there, has some flashbacks, gets down to where she needs to be, and then she's attacked. And it's pretty interesting who she's attacked by. We'll
Yep.
just leave it at that.
yeah. We'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Really good art in that book. Like you said, it's a lot of action sequences. A lot of it is silent storytelling. There's not a lot of dialogue. It's just visual storytelling with the art. And I always think sequences like that are really cool.
Right. It's just a lot of visual storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed this Black Widow book that we've been getting here lately. I like seeing her in her solo book. I like this espionage thing going on. Yeah, man. I like exploring her origins. It's pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Moving on to the Star Wars books for this week, just one. Star Wars Poe Dameron #2. So when we last left off, you had Poe Dameron investigating this planet and this secret society that seems to be watching over this giant cosmic egg thing. I don't really know what that's about. But what you have in this issue is a guy by the name of Agent Tarek, who used to be it is implied that he was a stormtrooper during the original Empire and is now leading a group of his own stormtroopers because he's really good at his job. They bust into this underground base. They're looking for Poe Dameron. They're not going to give him up, so they decide to set the egg thing on fire, which upsets these force-sensitive people. Poe Dameron jumps out and says, "Hey, it's me. I'm here." And there's a whole discussion about, who has the upper hand here, who's the smarter of the two tacticians. Because during this time, Poe Dameron gave his team of fighter pilots on the surface an order to get him some leverage. And they have it out with some TIE fighters. Doesn't go their way. and we don't really get a resolution to that. They're just like, okay, we'll see what happens next issue, which really ticked me off because I really want to know now. But hang on. There's a conversation that Agent Tarek has with Captain Phasma. And the particular line is, let's see. You've been assigned significant resources to complete this mission. The true offensive will begin soon, but only if there are no loose ends. That's what Captain Phasma says to Agent Tarek. And Agent Tarek replies, truly, we're finally going to start fighting. Starkiller's ready. And I'm curious as to what they mean by that. Now, it could be a reference to the Starkiller base that we see in episode 7, but I'm not entirely certain that that's the case.
There's also a Starkiller in the Admiral Thrawn series that was written by somebody.
Right, and we recently found out that they've made Admiral Thrawn canon again.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if, and it may just be a reference to the Starkiller base that we see in episode 7, because this book takes place a couple weeks before the movie, or at least a short amount of time before the movie.
Right.
But it was also the name of Darth Vader's apprentice during this time that he trained and raised into the Force. So right. Maybe it's just a reference to the base, but it might have wider implications as well.
Right.
And that'll do it for comic books this week. All of them. What would you say your favorite book was this week?
That's Spider-Man number 12.
Really?
Yeah, I liked it. Took me forever to read it, but I liked it.
Okay, cool.
Well, it's a toss-up between that and Moon Knight number 2, but I'm going to say Spider-Man number 12. Yeah.
Yeah, there were several that I had a hard time with. I really enjoyed that Spider-Gwen book. The Punisher book was really good. Moon Knight was fantastic. So was Iron Man and Contest of Champions and the Poe Dameron book, even at that. But I'm going to have to say Scarlet Witch number 6. I really enjoyed the art, and I really enjoyed that story. Sometimes you just read comic books and you're just reading comic books. And then other times you come away with thoughts and feelings and revelations that you didn't expect from a comic book. And that's what I got from Scarlet Witch number 6. So that's my pick for this week.
Yeah, there you go. I just sent you another cover too. The Scotty Young cover of Captain America number 1. You were talking about the pointed shield you didn't like.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've seen this cover.
Yeah, I think we talked about it before.
Nope, too pointy. That's funny. See, and Scotty Young's a great artist. I just don't really care for him as a
writer.
A writer. Yeah.
Yes.
That's unfortunate.
Yes. And our classic read of the week is you saw the Doctor Strange movie. We haven't talked about the Doctor Strange movie. How was it?
It was really good. You haven't seen it yet, and there's
not.
If you're listening to this podcast, there's probably a few of you that still haven't seen it, but most of you probably have by now. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I enjoyed it as much, if not more, than Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think it did another $45 million this weekend, which brings the domestic total somewhere around 130, 140 million.
Yeah.
Domestic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You gotta. I don't know when you're gonna get a chance to see it, but you need to go see it. Soon.
I'm as always running a hectic schedule, but soon.
Okay. Yeah, really good. I am a little biased because I'm a big Doctor Strange fan, but I felt like It was the Harry Potter Kung Fu movie that I never knew I wanted.
That's good.
Yeah. And keeping in that tradition, since it is the release week for Doctor Strange, our classic read this week is a mini series from 1999, written by Tony Harris, or excuse me, written by Dan Jolly. Artist is Tony Harris, called Doctor Strange and the Flight of Bones. And essentially, what you've got going on here is a lot like the Scarlet Witch book that we've been talking about. You've got Doctor Strange investigating magical crimes. There's a bank robbery by a guy with no skin who, when he touches people, just turn into purple ash. So naturally, that gets Doctor Strange's attention. And he starts investigating, and it's nothing he's ever seen before. I won't spoil the whole thing for you, but the one behind it all is a very familiar villain, and you actually get to see a depiction of Doctor Strange that is a little different from his modern iteration. You know, for the longest time, and even when he was created, he was modeled after dadgummit, now his name's gone. Vincent Price. You know, he's supposed to look like Vincent Price, sound like Vincent Price. He you know, if Vincent Price were alive today, he'd be the one playing Doctor Strange. And you get that kind of character treatment in this series. He's very much the, you know, middle-aged doctor who's very serious all the time. Whereas his modern iteration is a little younger and a little more lighthearted and a little more sarcastic. But it's a really good series. You get to see him doing a lot of spell weaving and studying ancient tomes and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a 4-issue limited series. Doctor Strange and the Flight of Bones. The art's fantastic. It's a really good story. Check it out.
Cool. Very good.
Yeah.
Um,
That pretty much wraps this up, unless you got anything.
I don't. The website is www.6sixmonthsbehind.com. The email is.
You can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
And this week, because you are growing in knowledge, I believe you have the words of wisdom for us.
I do. Before we go, a little word of wisdom for you. Happiness can always be found even in the darkest of times, if only we remember to turn on the light.
There you go. Have a
There you
good
go.
week, y'all. Peace.
Bye, y'all.